Paris has a way of making strangers feel like they've always known each other. The city doesn't just shine, it whispers, it lingers, and it teaches you that sometimes love isn't about forever, but about a single night, a single glance, or a single kiss under its golden lights. The story begins with the city itself. The camera glides across Paris at dusk. The sky is painted in shades of soft orange and deep purple, fading into the velvet of the night. The Eiffel Tower glimmers in the distance, its lights flickering to life one by one like tiny stars being born. But we do not see faces, only shadows. And outlines, the city is alive, faceless, yet breathing with its own heartbeat. The Seine moves quietly, carrying reflections of street lamps across its surface. The bridges arch gracefully, holding secrets of lovers who walked across them centuries ago. Cafés spill their warm light onto cobblestone streets, where voices blend with the clinking of glasses and the faint sound of an accordion in the background. This is not just a city. It is a stage, and tonight it is ready to host a love story. The voiceover draws us in, soft and reflective. Some places don't just exist on maps, they exist inside us. Paris is not just a city you visit, it's a city that visits you. It lingers, it clings, it wraps you in something you cannot name but cannot forget. We move through narrow alleys past a bookstore with golden lights spilling onto the sidewalk. A girl's silhouette pauses by the window, her reflection caught in the glass. She is Belly, we never see her face. Her outline tells us enough, the way she tilts her head to read titles, the way her hand rests gently against the glass as though searching for something beyond the books. From across the street, another figure lingers, a man, tall, relaxed, but somehow pulled toward her presence. This is Benito. He's faceless too, but the story doesn't need his eyes, it needs only the outline of his curiosity. The slow way he moves closer, as if drawn by an invisible thread. The city watches them. A street lamp hums. The sound of distant laughter floats through the night. Time seems to pause, holding its breath. The narration continues. They say Paris is a city for lovers. But what they forget to say is that it is also a city for beginnings, for glances that matter more than words, for silences that feel louder than any song. And sometimes in this city, two souls collide in a way that feels less like meeting and more like remembering. Belly steps into the café next door, her shadow slipping past the doorway into the warm glow. Benito lingers a second longer before following, but not directly. He is not chasing, only orbiting, as though the gravity of her presence pulls him. Closer without a word spoken, inside the café, cups clink softly, steam rises from hot chocolate and coffee, and the hum of conversation floats through the air. The faceless crowd blends together, yet somehow she and Benito stand apart. He takes a seat by the window, his profile carved against the glow of the city outside. She opens a book at the corner table, her hands holding onto the pages like secrets. The narration lowers, almost like a secret whispered only to the viewer. Somewhere between the turning of a page and the sip of a drink, their story begins. And Paris, as always, is watching. The scene closes not with action but with feeling. A slow pan upward past the glowing lamps, past the window's reflection of Belly and Benito, faceless yet destined, and toward the star-dusted sky. The Eiffel Tower's lights sparkle as though blinking in approval. Asterisk rain begins to fall. Soft and delicate, like the city is sprinkling blessings on the streets below. Paris in the rain is not a storm, it's a lullaby. Drops gather on cafe windows, catching the glow of street lamps until they look like tiny pearls sliding down the glass. The sound is not loud but steady, like a rhythm guiding the night forward. Inside, the cafe Belly closes her book. Her hands linger on the cover as though she's not ready to let the story go, but something else tugs at her. Something unseen. Her reflection in the glass shows more than her shape. It shows the possibility of another story. One not written in ink, but in glances and pauses. Across the room, Benito stirs his coffee slowly, though the cup has long gone. Cold, his attention is not on the drink, but on the space between them. He doesn't stare, but he notices. The way her fingers trace the rim of the mug. The way she watches the rain, not with sadness, but with quiet wonder. He knows in that instant, That she does not see Paris as a city, it is, for her, a living poem. And he is drawn to that. The camera avoids faces. We see him in profile, his jaw outlined against the window's glow, his shoulders slightly turned in her direction. We see her from behind, her hair catching the light, her posture relaxed yet expectant. Two silhouettes caught in the same frame. Yet worlds apart, the narration breathes softly. Not all meetings are made of words. Some are born in silence. In the pause before a glance, in the wait of a breath. Two lives, moving separately until the city decides to let them collide. The rain thickens and Belly stands, pulling her coat tighter. She hesitates at the door, watching the street as umbrellas bloom outside like dark flowers. Benito rises too, almost at the same time, though not in chase. It is coincidence or maybe destiny disguised as one. He reaches the door just as she does, his hand brushing the handle first, then pulling back when hers arrives. A simple gesture, yet it carries the weight of something larger. Neither speaks. Instead, we see their hands pause hers on the door, his a fraction away. The camera lingers, faceless but intimate. Time slows. The cafe hum fades. For a heartbeat, the world holds still. She steps outside, the umbrella snapping open above her head. He waits a moment longer, then follows, his steps quiet, measured. On the cobblestone street, their paths align, not together, but near. The sound of their footsteps blends with the rain, echoing like a secret rhythm only they can hear. The narration continues, low and steady. Every love begins with distance, with the space between one step and the next, with the choice to walk beside someone, even if only for a little while. Belly stops at a bookstall tucked under a striped awning. The pages of old novels breathe in the damp night air, their spines lined like soldiers waiting to be chosen. She runs her fingers along the covers, the rain tapping gently overhead. Benito drifts to the next stall, pretending to browse, though his gaze flickers toward her silhouette again and again. A book slips from her hand, falling softly onto the wooden table. Before she can reach for it, his hand moves too. Their fingers brush, a fleeting contact. Just skin against skin for a second, yet it sparks louder than any word could. She looks up, or seems to, though her face remains hidden, and he does too. The city around them blurs. All that exists is the quiet electricity of two people noticing each other for the first time. The camera pulls back. They stand beneath the awning, the rain still falling beyond. Paris carries on, cars passing, laughter spilling from cafés. Music drifting from a violinist nearby, but between them, a silence forms. Not empty, full, the narration lingers like a sigh. Some encounters are written long before they happen. Not in books, not in letters, but in the soft insistence of the universe. Tonight, in the rain-soaked heart of Paris, two stories touched, and neither would ever be the same again. The scene closes with a slow pan outward. Belly slips the book into her coat. Benito takes a step back, and yet the distance feels smaller than before. Their shadows stretch along the cobblestones, crossing, blending. As the city lights shimmer against the rain, Paris does not rush love. It cradles it, lets it breathe, lets it bloom slowly, like roses climbing the side of an old balcony. The rain fades by morning, leaving the streets shining like polished mirrors. Cobblestones glisten, catching the sunlight, and the air feels new-washed clean. Ready for something beautiful, Belly steps out of her hotel, her coat brushing against the breeze. Benito is already there, not waiting exactly, but present as. If the city has placed him in her path again, he doesn't approach with words. Instead, he gestures toward two bicycles leaning against the wall, their paint chipped, their bells worn from time. She hesitates only for a second before smiling, not with her mouth, for we never see her face, but with her movements, the way her shoulders lift slightly, the way her hand reaches for the handlebars, and so they ride. Through winding alleys, where vines hang low, through open boulevards, lined with cafés spilling morning laughter. The wheels hum beneath them, a quiet duet of motion. Her scarf trails behind, catching the wind, his coat flaring slightly as he turns. They don't race. They don't speak. They simply move together, side by side, as though they have always belonged to this rhythm. The narration whispers gently, "Love, when it is young, doesn't ask questions. It doesn't demand promises. It only asks for the next breath, the next laugh, the next turn in the road. It is fragile, but it is alive. And in Paris, even fragility can feel eternal." Later, they pause at a patisserie. The bell above the door jingles softly as they step inside. The air is warm, sweet, filled, with the scent of butter and sugar melting into something divine. She picks a pastry dusted with powdered sugar. He chooses one layered with chocolate. They sit by the window, sharing bites, exchanging small gestures instead of words, the way she wipes sugar from her coat sleeve, the way he slides his plate closer, offering without asking. Outside, the world continues, but inside, time folds neatly around them, making space for just two. Cut to a montage of faceless moments, their hands brushing as they pass a pastry bag back and forth. Her shadow tilting against his on the cobblestones as they walk side by side. A carousel spinning in the background as their silhouettes pass by, blurred but linked. The faint sound of music drifting from a violinist on the bridge, their outlines swaying gently to the tune. The day folds into night. The Seine glitters under the moon, lights reflecting like liquid stars. They sit by the river, their legs dangling. Over the edge, the city humming softly behind them. A boat passes, its glow casting brief halos across the water. She leans slightly, her shoulder brushing against his. He doesn't move away. The silence between them is no longer empty. It is full of everything they cannot say. The narration deepens. Slower now. There is a kind of love that does not belong to the future or the past. It belongs only to the moment. It knows it may not last, and still it chooses to shine brighter for the time it is given. That is the love Paris teaches, the kind that feels infinite even if it lives only for a night. They rise, drawn back into the city's embrace. Street lamps guide them toward a square lit by strings of golden bulbs. Music floats from a café soft. Romantic, inviting, Benito offers his hand, Belly takes it. Faceless silhouettes moving into the circle of light, they begin to dance. Not practiced, not polished, just two bodies swaying gently, laughter hidden in their movements. Her dress spins, his hand steadies her, and around them, Paris applauds with the flicker of its lights. Close shots capture the small details, fingers interlaced. The hem of her dress brushing across the cobblestones, his arm curving gently around her waist. The bulbs above them glowing like a constellation invented just for this moment. As the song ends, they stay close, the world blurring around them. We don't need to see their faces. We feel it, the pull, the warmth, the quiet. Certainty that this night will never be forgotten. The narration closes the section. Some stories are not written in books. They are written in the spaces between heartbeats, in the glow of a city that refuses to sleep. In the way two strangers can become everything to each other, if only for a fleeting moment. And tonight, Paris has written theirs. The camera pulls back, rising above the square. Their faceless figures remain small against the vast city, yet glowing with a kind of intimacy that makes everything else disappear. Paris stretches endlessly, but for them, the world has narrowed to the space of two shadows dancing beneath the lights. The night deepens. Paris grows quieter, though it never truly sleeps. The laughter in the cafés fades into murmurs. The violinists pack away their bows, and the carousel lights dim one by one. The streets glisten faintly from a fresh drizzle, their cobblestones carrying the shimmer of street lamps like tiny pools of gold. It feels as though the city itself knows what is coming. Belly and Benito walk side by side, their shadows stretching long against the damp stones. They don't speak, yet their silence says everything. Her steps are slower now, lingering, as though she wants the night to last just a little longer. His movements are steady, calm, but his hands clench slightly in his coat pocket, betraying the weight pressing against him. They stop at the edge of the Seine. The Eiffel Tower glows in the distance. Not just bright, but pulsing, alive, its sparkle filling the sky. The river whispers below, carrying reflections of the city like fragile pieces of memory drifting downstream. The camera holds their outlines against this backdrop. Faceless figures framed by eternity, the narration enters like a soft sigh. Every story, no matter how beautiful, must choose an ending. And sometimes the most painful endings are also the most perfect, because they leave us with something untouched, something too fragile for time to destroy. Belly holds an umbrella now, the fabric catching the faint drizzle that returns with the night. Benito steps closer, his silhouette joining hers beneath the small canopy. They stand close, not touching yet, but near enough that the space between them hums with unspoken words. Then slowly his hand rises, brushing against hers. This time she doesn't pull away. Their fingers intertwine beneath the umbrella's shadow. The world pauses. The glow of the tower, the rhythm of the rain, the heartbeat of Paris, all of it bends toward this single moment. Faceless but infinite, the narration softens, almost breaking. They knew it could not last. But love is not measured by how long it stays. It is measured by how deeply it roots itself in memory, and this night, this rain, this city would live inside them forever. The moment lingers. Then the camera cuts to the station. A train waits, its headlights spilling across the platform like a call that cannot be ignored. Belly stands with her suitcase by her side. Benito is there, a few steps away. Their silhouettes face each other, the space between them heavy with everything they cannot say. The whistle of the train pierces the night, sharp and final. She lifts her hand, not in farewell exactly, but in something quieter, an acknowledgement, a promise that even distance cannot erase. He lifts his too, mirroring her. Two shadows in. The blur of the station lights. The narration grows firm now, like the voice of the city itself. Some loves do not need forever. They need only to be remembered. And sometimes memory is stronger than time. The train doors close. Her shadow disappears into the glow inside. Benito remains on the platform, his figure still, yet not broken. The train begins to move, carrying her into the night, away from Paris, away from him, but not away from what they shared. For nothing could take that away. Cut to the window of the moving train. Belly's silhouette leans gently against the glass, raindrops streaking across, distorting the view. Outside, Paris fades into darkness, but her reflection remains lit by the memory of what has passed. The camera lingers on her faceless outline, her stillness filled with quiet ache, then back to Benito. He walks slowly out of the station. The rain falls harder now, but he does not open an umbrella. Instead, he lifts his face toward the sky, faceless, yet full of meaning. The city lights crown him in gold. He pauses on the street, looking once more at the Eiffel Tower sparkling in the distance before turning away. His shadow stretches, then dissolves into the night. The final narration closes like a lullaby. They met in the city of light, and for a moment they carried that light inside them. Though their paths divided, Paris held their story in its streets, in its bridges, in its rain. And somewhere, every time the tower shines, their love shines too. The last shot pulls high above the city. Paris glimmers beneath the night sky, endless and eternal. The Eiffel Tower sparkles once more, brighter than ever, as if keeping a promise only it remembers. The screen fades to black, leaving only silence, heavy with the ache of goodbye and the sweetness of something that will never be lost.